Hey, this is Eric from the African Homestead. Welcome back. I just want to make a quick video. I am getting ready to harvest sweet potatoes. As I've mentioned in my earlier videos, we grow something called potato greens here in Liberia that produces a sweet tuber, but it's very firm, similar to a traditional white potato, and it's not as sweet as the orange fleshed sweet potato that I'm used to eating, especially around Thanksgiving and Christmas in the States. But my friend Bill at the Agricultural Research Center, he brought in some sweet potatoes from ALDI, some organic sweet potatoes from ALDI, grew them, they did great. He gave me some to grow slips. I have planted a huge area. I'll just insert some video here. Well, huge for me, but from just three sweet potatoes, I've planted a pretty large area, and they're still growing slips after about 3 months now. But the first ones I planted, it's been 3 months. They're still going strong, but I'm impatient, and so I'm gonna dig some of those up. I just wanted you to come along and see what we find. So this area is the traditional Liberian potato greens, and I have some more that I've planted over here, and all these we're growing for the animals. And eventually, as my garden finishes over here for the rainy season, we have some hot peppers, the Liberian chili pepper, and some cantaloupe that didn't really do too well. As that finishes, I'm going to plant that in the Liberian potato greens. But this bed in front of me has been growing for about 3 months. You can see in this tub how full that is of slips. They're still, after 3 months, still producing slips. And I planted this bed where my cucumbers were growing before, and I planted this bed now with more sweet potatoes. And so I did a pretty severe cutback of vines. I'd be interested in feedback in the comment section below. Do you cut your vines back, or do you let them grow out just by lifting them to keep them from creating more roots and pulling energy away from the tuber production? These I finally decided, because the vines were going crazy, I finally decided to give a pretty severe cutback, and now you can see it's really filled in again. But curious to see how you do it, what advice you have for me. But we're going to dig this bed, at least part of it, up and see what we find. Well, this is my harvest from about a 3 foot by 3 foot area, and you can see, compared to my hand, they're not really big. Some aren't too bad, but smaller than what I was hoping. So I'm going to go ahead and let these dry out and cure and sweeten up for the next 10 days. And the rest of this bed, I'm going to let it continue growing. I did find that some of these, the vines had gotten very long, and as I was digging some, where these vines meet the soil, they will start rooting. And so I think I'm going to go ahead and cut the vines back again, at least some of the long trailing ones, and see what happens with that. But this is the harvest so far. I have a lot more potatoes planted, And you know, we're here at the beginning of the rainy season. I'm hoping the rainy season doesn't cause a huge issue, but what I have here, we're gonna go ahead and let these cure, sweeten up, and gonna make something with sweet potatoes here in about 2 weeks and see how they taste. But I'm looking forward to it. Now, as far as the vines I dug up, I'm not gonna let them go to waste. I'm gonna head over here to the goats and the chickens, let them enjoy them. One thing I'm planning to do is when I do harvest that bed completely, I'm gonna keep some of the slips from that, replant again in that same bed. Okay, now it's your turn. I would like your advice. What do you think? After 3 months of growing, are these sweet potatoes? This is my first time growing sweet potatoes. So I don't know if I was just jumping the gun. It seemed like 90 days was long enough for them to really grow to a decent size. They're smaller than I expected. I'm a little disappointed in that. But what do you advise? What do you advise? What amendments should I add? What things? I mean, obviously, you don't want to over fertilize them. And here, you know, all I'm going to have is what I can produce organically. I have, you know, manure. I have some compost that's about finished that I could add on top. I'm mulching with dried leaves. You know, the soil here is fairly depleted, but this, when we planted it, we did mix in goat and rabbit manure that is, you know, is continuing to break down. But I'm curious, what advice do you have? What ideas do you have? Am I just being impatient, or should I add something else in to really boost the size of the tubers? Look forward to your responses below. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye-bye.